Thank you so much for being here. We are going to open this evening's program, our second annual Human Rights Celebration, by having a welcome from our new city manager, Taiwo Jayoba. Please give him a hand.
Good evening. All right, well, welcome all of us to this event tonight. And before I hand off to Dr. Love Jones to actually guide us through the rest of the evening, I have a few things to say. As I reflect on this moment, I bring back to mind there's a book in the Bible called Deuteronomy. And in that book, there's a phrase that's repeated almost all through. And that phrase is, do not forget. Do not forget. In other words, it's a book of memory. It's a book of remembrance. And it's very important that when we remember moments like this, what happened in 1979, when we remember those moments, it allows us to still be able to do something to silence the voices that are very much present with us today against racial equity and that are anti-social justice. And so it's very important for us that as we are here tonight to remember that, we remember the sacrifices that were made, or perhaps even more importantly, the legacy that they left behind. And that's why we're here tonight. While it was such a sad occasion many years ago, it's a momentous opportunity for us to say never again, as we remember, as we bring it to mind, and as we do not forget. So many times when we go about our daily businesses, we often forget these things. But tonight is an opportunity for us to bring it back to mind, top of mind, to say that while we know that there are forces today that would still like to take us back to those times, it's an opportunity for us to say never again. That we will remember, and every time we do, we know that we silence, or at least make an effort to silence the voices of inequity, especially racial inequity. So I'm happy to be here tonight to celebrate. You know, my wife is here with me. She just arrived from England tonight, and as soon as I picked her up, she felt it's important for her to be here as well. And I told my daughter she has to be here as well because it's important for us, you know, to live and to continue these legacies. And so tonight, as awards will be given, as messages and remarks will be made, I want us to not just be flippant about it, but to process those things and embrace the moment and remember the very reason why we're here tonight. Because it's very important for our future, and it's very important for the generations that are yet to come. So once again, thank you very much for being here tonight, and I will hand off to Dr. Love Jones to walk us through the rest of the evening. Welcome.
Thank you very much for those remarks, for that welcome. I would like to further extend the welcome as the Director of the Human Rights Department. My name is Dr. Love Jones. I'm very, very grateful to see all of these faces here tonight. The primary purpose for this evening is to acknowledge, commemorate, celebrate, recognize those who do the work of human rights. We truly believe that what happens here in Greensboro is the result of all of the volunteer hands, all of the people who have paved the way, all of the people who continue to do the work. And so first, I would like to recognize the decision makers in the room who push the needle for human rights in our city by way of our city council. And so for those elected officials in the room, if you would please wave your hand for the sake of acknowledgement. We have Mayor Vaughn, Councilwoman Hightower, Councilwoman Abuzawader, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. We also have Councilman Holston, and we also have Councilwoman Thurn. So thank you so much for making the decisions that take us forward in the effort of human rights. In another life, I might have been a planner. The cool thing about being a planner for a city is that you get to look at all of the systemic things that work together to create an experience. And Sue Schwartz, who is not here this evening, but she is our city the director of our planning department, educated us a couple of years ago about the fact that people are now choosing where to live, not necessarily where the jobs are, not where it's most affordable, but where they can have an effective experience. I would say in the last couple of years that has intensified, where people are now choosing where to live based on first where they can survive and be safe, where they can thrive, but then also where they can flourish. And flourishing is a privilege that not all of us in this community or any community across the country have, but our goal is to make flourishing accessible for all, removing people from the margin to the center so that flourishing is the real option for living in Greensboro. And with that in mind, the city volunteers, our boards and commissions, those are the people who are our extended hands. Our department is tiny. Up until January, we only had 4 people to serve 300,000 residents. And so we have always relied on the energy, the benevolence, the commitment of volunteer bodies. And so one of the areas of focus for our department is commission support, where we actually support 5 bodies. And that's who we're really here to celebrate tonight, in addition to honoring the lives of those lost in the massacre by way of the Morningside Awards, acknowledging community partners, City of Greensboro partners. But first, I think it's important for people to just know what the Human Rights Department does. And so we have 5 functions in our department. We do fair housing investigation to make sure that people are not subject to discrimination when searching for a place to live and thrive. We also do public accommodations investigation, which we are further developing at this time, preparing for implementation of an enhanced version of it in our community. Then we also do work to acknowledge the needs of immigrant populations, immigrants and refugees, newcomers, by way of international support. And then we are also responsible for doing work with our second chance populations by way of Thrive GSO, which is an initiative that looks at all of the critical elements necessary for a person who is re-entering society and or has a background that is less than perfect, but still deserves an opportunity to really put their stamp on Greensboro and have Greensboro be a place that they can be their best selves, be successful. And then that brings us back to this commission support piece. We have, again, 5 bodies. And of those 5 bodies, they have done remarkable work over this past year. And so what I'm here to do is highlight some of that incredible work that they have done. First, we have the Human Rights Commission, and I'm going to ask all participants here tonight who are part of the Human Rights Commission if you would wave your hand so that you can be acknowledged. Let's give them a hand, please. This year, the Human Rights Commission took on the endeavor of making sure that people knew their rights on a deeper level by way of a launched series called Let's Talk Law. And it covered several areas where the community is generally unaware of how the law works in connection to their experience. And they took on those topics across the year and launched this series whereby there was so much education for members of the community who wanted to know things like the role of a public defender, looking at probation, parole, and plea bargains, the Fourth Amendment search and seizure, looking at gender rights for transgender populations when it comes to the law, looking at expungements and expunctions. All of these factors are things that we think we know, but really we don't know in the weeds, and we especially don't know when we need help. So we're very thankful that this is one of their highlighted programs of the year that we are really proud of and very thankful for their labor. Next, we have the Commission on the Status of Women. And of course, their focus is looking at the needs of women in Greensboro and how to enhance their lived experience, looking at barriers to their rights. We know that it's been a very hot topic this week about the rights of women, and this is a part of the everyday work of the Commission on the Status of Women. And so one of the things that they have done this year that is considered one of their more outstanding programs is launched a Women of Greensboro survey, where their initial intent was only to get 400 responses. But they worked diligently with our team at the city and with community partners, and they were able to garner 1,155 responses. And in that, they're now at the place of analyzing that data, putting it together to tell the story of women of Greensboro across the intersection of several identities. And so we are really thankful for their work. For those who are a part of the Commission on the Status of Women, if you are here tonight, please raise your hand to be recognized. And if you would, please give them a round of applause as they do. Up next, we have the International Advisory Committee. We have a wealth of different populations from different countries all over the world here in Greensboro. And it's really important to look at the unique barriers that they face upon arrival. And the International Advisory Committee is a body that is designed to look more closely at those needs, examining policy and procedure, basically trying to eliminate the barriers so that people can get in a safe place to live, have a good job, be able to get their children into thriving schools so that they really are able to get the best of what Greensboro has to offer. And so for this year, the program that is most highlighted is the Women's Only Swim through the YMCA. There are women in our country who are from other countries who, because of their religious practices, religious beliefs, actually have not been able to swim in 20 some odd years. And so by partnering with the community and with staff, we were able to work diligently to come to an agreement about creating a modest swim night that enabled some of the women from the international community to be able to enjoy swimming under the guise or perimeters of what works for them according to their faith practices. And so we're really, really thankful to our partners in the community, the YMCA especially. They've had 5 swimming sessions and over 200 women have been able to participate. So we're very thankful for that work. And if you're a part of the International Advisory Committee, we would ask that you raise your hand to be acknowledged, and please give them a hand. Next, we have the Ad Hoc Committee for African American Disparity. This is one of our newer developed bodies. And the purpose of ACAD, as far as the acronym goes, is to be able to look at the unique barriers that are specific to African American populations and be able to delve deeper and analyze ways in which growth opportunities can be enhanced, policy and procedure can be examined for disparate impact. And so this group has really done the due diligence of storming and norming, trying to really formulate their goals, formulate their vision, and they yielded a wonderful program this year, the Black-Owned Business Mix and Mingle. This program was designed to allow Black business owners of small businesses in Greensboro to be able to exchange information, network, but also learn from some vendors that were provided at the event, ways in which to enhance their business practices, ways in which to secure finances for their businesses, which is a really critical hurdle for African American business owners based on the history of discrimination in this country. So we're very thankful for the effort. We really, really appreciate that being a very successful program to launch. And so members of ACAD, if you would raise your hand if you're here so that you can be acknowledged, let's give them a hand, please. And finally, we have the Transgender Task Force, another newly formed body. One of the former council members looked closely at the fact that in the LGBTQ+ acronym, transgender populations experience some very unique barriers. Increased compromises to safety, increased compromises to the ability to access jobs, to access housing. And so from that concern, the Transgender Task Force was developed. Over this year, they have worked diligently to look closer at policy and procedure that creates a compromise of safety for transgender populations. And so for this year, the highlighted program from this group is the Transgender Inclusion Training for Temporary Housing Agency staff. So in our housing insecure shelters across the city, better equipping those who serve directly transgender populations on how to create a safe environment and an inclusive environment, because it's already stressful to be housing insecure. So to decrease any of the stressors that come with that experience, they have worked together to develop a training model that has since been put into a memo to be passed on to council. And so we're very excited about the fact that they took the route of looking at policy and procedure and really going that route for change. So for members of the Transgender Task Force, if you're here, please raise your hand for acknowledgement and please give them a hand. At this time, we are going to acknowledge our internal human rights partners as well as our external community partners. You heard me mention that the volunteers are what make the difference, and that's very true. But we're at a place and space where it takes internal staff who sit at the table with us in a very committed way over time, and they never turn us down when we ask them to sit at the table to make decisions. They never turn us down when we ask them to weigh in on community processes and procedures in order to make Greensboro the place that it needs to be. And so we're very excited to highlight their work tonight and acknowledge them, but there's also external community partners that we've asked to come to the round table, especially during a pandemic, when most people felt the need to, in the name of safety, just to cocoon. And we were still able to tap the shoulders of these individuals who still, whether it was virtually or in person, every time we called, they said, we're here, we're ready to contribute ideas, we're ready to help in any way that we can. And so on tonight, I'm going to ask Jody to assist me in presenting the awards, and I'm going to ask that we have, let's see, who do we need for this one? I'm talking about shaking hands. Yes. So I'm going to ask Mayor Vaughn if she will come up so that we can shake hands with the recipients, but I also want to ask Jody to read off the bios of the individuals that we're highlighting. We're so very thankful. When your name is called, if you will come up and receive your award and then come here to shake hands, we will be very, very appreciative. And please, let's definitely celebrate these individuals as they come forth. Thank you so much.
As Outreach and Education Coordinator for the City of Greensboro's Human Rights Department, I have a deep and abiding appreciation for people who are not only making a splash where they are, but for people who are accessible to me. The people that I'm going to name this evening are about 50% of them are very uncomfortable in the spotlight. But that's part of the reason they're here. Because a lot of times it's those folks that are doing the work behind the scenes that are not heard on a platform that we need to lift up. So that's part of the purpose of these awards, is to lift up those who are behind the scenes and doing all this great work. So I'm gonna call out some really amazing people, some of my favorite people to work with. And please, once I've finished kind of reading their bio, they'll pass up here and shake hands, and then if we could all give them a round of applause, that'd be great. Max Sims is the president of East Greensboro Now, a community development corporation that drives economic and community development in East Greensboro. He serves on the Greenway Oversight Committee, the Greensboro Conventions and Visitors Board, and the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce Grow Committee. Human Rights, we at Human Rights would not know the MLK Breakfast Planning Committee without Mac. He has been there since the beginning, offering steady guidance about the community perspective and dynamics, and ensuring that the MLK Memorial event serves its purpose to keep Dr. King's dream alive and well in Greensboro. We cannot do this work without you, Mac. Please help me congratulate Mac. So if you have heard of the Interactive Resource Center, Turning Point 180, and Step Up Greensboro, you may not know that our very own Fanta Dorley helped develop all three. And then she went on to found and operate her own companies, Vision for You Enterprises, Journey Home Care Agency, and Journey Adult Day Center for Elder Care. Fanta is a premier speaker, author, playwright, and successful business professional. For over 20 years, she's also been a community organizer and advocate addressing key issues dealing with access to housing, eliminating hunger, and engagement from the immigrant community for Greensboro and the surrounding areas. She's a former commissioner with the Commission on the Status of Women and a consistent, reliable member of the MLK Planning Committee. Please join me in congratulating Faitza. FJ Carney is one of those that's not as comfortable with the spotlight, so let's give him one this evening. He is a federal probation officer. He's a former Greensboro police officer and an Elon graduate. A member of Thrive GSO, since its inception in 2016, FJ has proven to be a wealth of information in a critical field associated with reentry. To his colleagues and peers, FJ is a connector, networking with community members to gather needed resources and information for his clients, and rallying his colleagues to do the same. To his clients, FJ is a cheerleader and a steady supporter who provides the tools they need to succeed. To us, at Human Rights, FJ is an accessible expert and advocate that we rely on for feedback, guidance, and expertise. FJ sets the standard for what probation can and should be for people navigating reentry, a stepping stone in the path to success. Thank you for all you've done, FJ. So according to her supervisor, Catherine, Sonia Desai, a client services coordinator at the Guilford County Family Justice Center, is a master at making connections. Always welcoming and friendly, Sonia is on a mission to make Guilford County a safer place for everyone. She spent nearly 10 years working as a victim advocate for the Greensboro Police Department and joined the Family Justice Center when it was founded in 2015. Whether she is supporting the Commission on the Status of Women in developing the Purple Tree Lighting event to raise awareness about domestic violence, whether she's identifying an accessible meeting space at City Hall when the Family Justice Center's elevator is down, or providing guidance about a 50B to an immigrant when her estranged and violent husband refused to relinquish her green card, Sonia is a stalwart advocate and a haven when vulnerable people need it most. Please join me in celebrating Sonia. And double congratulations to Jamila Pinder, who unfortunately, because of a travel delay, cannot be with us tonight. But she was recently named Director of Equity and Community Engagement for the Cone Health Foundation. For over 20 years, Jamila's career with Cone Health has been punctuated with ever-growing responsibilities and a fierce commitment to community change. Jamila has learned to successfully and strategically partner with community-based organizations, healthcare systems, and faith-based communities to address access to care and social determinants of health, which include nutrition, transportation, and housing. At the peak of COVID, the International Advisory Committee was convening weekly meetings with community leaders to address COVID challenges in the immigrant community. Jamila attended almost every week, providing needed access to healthy and free food, vaccinations and testing sites, and consistently advocating for better language access in the healthcare setting. Jamila had an unexpected travel delay, so she can't be with us tonight, but her mother, Vicki Flippin, graciously agreed to stand in for Jamila and accept the award on her behalf. Please join me in congratulating Jamila. We'll just get a brief photo of everybody here as soon as you're ready, if you can all go together. Squeeze together. There you go. Wonderful, thank you. All right. If you could stay up here for a moment. Yeah. We have another set of 5. We have 5 city staff members that we'd also like to recognize because we are very committed to understanding that while we have external customers and external partners, we have city staff who are really working hard internally to affect change. So we're going to name 5 city staff members, and again, some of these are not comfortable in the spotlight, so let's make sure we're extra loud when we cheer them on, okay? Victor Vincent has a powerful story. He went from being an inmate in the Maryland Division of Corrections to a Guilford College graduate with a degree in criminal justice. Today, he is an inventory specialist with the Field Operations Department, but most people know him as the reentry expert. Victor has not only participated in the development of Thrive GSO and policy change at the local level, he's shared his story as a featured speaker at numerous events. On a daily basis, Victor meets with people who are struggling to overcome personal and professional barriers associated with criminal records. To us, he's a valuable resource, a speaker, and a subject matter expert who is not afraid to ask the hard questions. To his clients and friends, he's a partner and a coach, a fearless advocate, and an inspiration. Please join me in thanking Victor, the reentry expert. Jared LaRue is a Neighborhood Development Code Compliance Officer and the embodiment of what it looks like to affect change no matter where you are. Jared serves as the Vice President of the North Carolina Association of Housing Code Officials at the statewide level. He's used his role to advocate for language access training for code compliance professionals across the state, ensuring that his colleagues feel equipped with best practices in how to work with immigrants and refugees. Jared was a staunch supporter and participant of Greensboro Speaks, the city's innovative Spanish class for City of Greensboro staff. So Jared does speak Spanish. If you want to speak to him in Spanish, feel free. Where there are conversations about inclusion and equity, where there are opportunities to learn from others, you will see Jared. Please join me in celebrating Jared. More than once, I've had people call me after a planning meeting and say, "Who is that Shamreese? She is impressive." No joke, I really had that happen. Shamreese Diggs is a facilities coordinator with the City of Greensboro, and in her own words, she believes in enriching the fields of parks and recreation through creativity, exploration, and collaboration. Her adaptability and resourcefulness shows up in programming, marketing, project management, facility management, and special events. Shamreese is committed to pushing conversations and initiatives related to race and equity. Whether she's helping us host events to bring Black-owned businesses together or helping us plan the MLK breakfast, Shamreese always offers grounding, practical guidance driven by a passion to see her team succeed. Please join me in congratulating Shamreese. Beth Bowles is one of those that doesn't prefer the spotlight, so let's be extra loud on this one, okay? Beth is Greensboro Library's Multicultural Resources Librarian and Latino Outreach Coordinator. She launched the TEDx Greensboro Salon series, providing a forum for people to come together and discuss timely issues that affect our community. She is fluent in Spanish and French, and Beth serves as the library's language access coordinator, ensuring equal access to services and compliance with Title VI requirements. She orders multilingual books so that parents and children can read together. Beth does an exceptional job of also organizing El Día de los Niños, El Día de los Libros, which is a favorite community event where Latinx residents revel in celebration of their culture. They feel at home that day. We couldn't do this work without you, Beth. And last but very definitely not least, Josie Cambereri is the Public Information Manager for the Greensboro Police Department with extensive experience in justice policy research, community engagement, and communications. Her heart for people is evident. Josie took time out of her already busy days to help the International Advisory Committee and other local agencies plan one of the most effective World Refugee Day celebrations we've ever had in Greensboro. The refugee community challenged the city to a soccer game, so Josie organized the soccer team, complete with matching jerseys. Now the city lost, right? It's okay. But we had a lot of fun in the process. Josie is currently supporting the Ad Hoc Committee on African American Disparities efforts to develop a police community survey, and she's also working with the Commission on the Status of Women in their planning of the Purple Tree Lighting to raise awareness about domestic violence. Thank you, Josie. Right, so we'll pause for a brief photo here. Wonderful. All right, one more hand, please. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to invite Council Member Tammy Thurm, who is the Transgender Task Force Liaison, as well as Sharon Hightower, who is the liaison to the Ad Hoc Committee on African American Disparities, and Mary Kay Abuzawader, Council Member who is liaison to the International Advisory Committee, the Human Rights Commission, and the Commission on the Status of Women, to the podium. If you don't mind, please. Yes.
It's real good, Tammy. You and then don't be late. I don't know. I think that's the order that they were in.
I think we're in the right order. Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, and thank you all for being here. You know, our city manager talked about never forgetting, and I think with the news of the past week, it's more important than ever that we don't forget. We don't forget the past, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it, mostly bad and ugly there and for some of us. And we look forward to the future and what we all need to work towards. It's been a hard week. It's been a hard week for a lot of us. Many of us remember when. And the same with our recipients. Not only are we looking back at the recent past, but we're looking back much further than that. And we're thrilled to be here today with the recipient winners. But I say all this to remind us that we all have to continue to look forward. We all have to continue to work together. We all have to step up, even if it's out of our comfort zone. When you know, the old saying, when you see something, say something. Never more important than it is these days as we run the risk of moving backwards. So please, 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 continue to fight, continue to work, continue to advocate for one another, and help us continue to move Greensboro forward.
So good evening. I'm the liaison for the African American Committee on Disparity. And so right after George Floyd happened, and all of you know how you felt, we began to have a conversation among black people to say, why? Why does it keep happening? Why does it happen to us? Why has every other culture managed to progress and we are still in the same rut we have been in since the early 1800s? And so we decided we wanted to explore that. And I sat around the table with a group of passionate people. And I say that to say to you, if you're passionate about something, that's where you need to find yourself, serving in that role, as someone who's determined to make a change. This committee will make a difference, and somebody's getting a call. Is that my timer? This is
perfect. This is good. This is cute.
We know where her mind is. But I say all that to say that when you find yourself at a loss, seek out people that you share a lot in common with. You have a common goal, and then go for that goal. Aim for that goal. Yes, we have made some progress. It's true. But we in the NAACP say not one step back. But yet we've made that step back in many ways. We just saw in New York, 10 people lost their lives because of the color of their skin. And so this committee is integral in helping to find solutions that change that dynamic, to help us grow and move forward, make our community and our city better for being, having this committee here to say we can do better. And so I challenge you, find what it is that moves you and get involved within that. For me, it is being Black and trying to change the disparities that we face over time. And for this committee, that is their goal. So I say to you, I know some of you aren't Black, and I get it, but understand that you too have some things out there. But if you don't, join us, because this committee can move and shape things in such a way that we've never experienced before. And so I say that to you completely, and I'm proud of the Morningside recipients of these scholarships, because they too will make a difference. But one day, as Martin Luther King said, it will no longer be about the color of your skin, but the content of your character. Thank you.
Well, I think we can all agree that this is a glorious event, and thanks to the Human Rights Department, everyone involved who's had a hand in this evening. I'm so honored, blessed, and privileged to be able to serve as council liaison to the Human Rights Commission, to the Commission on the Status of Women, and the International Advisory Committee. All of those are doing such important work. Back way before I was on council, I was on the Human Rights Commission and thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. We came forward with keeping the landfill closed. And if it hadn't been for Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, we wouldn't have the International Advisory Committee. You have to think of all of those things and everything that they've done over the years. So I was trying to think of a call to action, but these groups have been active for the last 10, 20, 30 years, however long they've been in existence. They have been active. The Commission on the Status of Women was able to get passed through the state legislature the breast density bill, where a woman is now has to be told about the tissue in her breast so she knows if she's a candidate for further testing. So all of those things, these commissions, so this is my call to action. I want every person in here who is able to sign up to be on a border commission, because we need you. There is important work going on in our community. Does it take a lot of time? I think they'll all tell you, it's an hour or so a month for the meeting. There's committees going on. There are programs being planned. But it's something that is so wonderful. Talk to any prior commissioner. It's so gratifying. So that would be my call to action. And those of you that are on commissions, my call to action to you is continue doing what you're doing. You're doing amazing work. And I think that's evident in all the things that have come forward, all the programs. And keep a lookout. And I have to thank Dr. Jones and her staff, Jody. They have done yeoman's work over the years with almost no staffing. So, everybody should be thanked for that. And I really look forward to continuing my relationship with the commissions on liaison. And I hope to be able to attend some of the other ones. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Within human rights work, we take every opportunity to lift up the voices of young people, because we feel that young people have important things to say. and we feel strongly that when we listen, we benefit. So I'd like to introduce Sanjita Suryadereva. I wanted to make sure I got that right. She is a rising junior at Northwest Guilford High School. She's a 2022 high school poet laureate and has been performing spoken word since 9th grade. She's been working with Josephus Thompson. So please join me in welcoming Sanjita and open your hearts to what she has to say.
Good evening. My name is Sanjita Suryadevara. There are some simple things in life, like the sun rising every morning, the sound of our phones continuously ringing, the intense urge to keep snoozing. There are some simple things in life, like the stars shining in the night, like sleep weighing down on eyelids, despite our addiction to keep scrolling on TikTok. Simple, familiar, universal things. But nothing can get as simple as the pulse beating under our skins. Nothing is more familiar than the sound of wind howling. Nothing is more universal than the craving for peace and stability. And yet these simple and familiar and universal things are not so simple because for some of us they aren't familiar, and this universe isn't the same universe for all of us. Because while our pulses beat to the same rhythm, we only hear the beats of a dozen, while the rest are silenced, censored, abused, dead. Because the sound of wind howling doesn't reach the ears of children stuck in mines. It doesn't reach the bodies buried from genocides. Because someone out there can't risk craving for peace or stability for the only craving they know of is for food or health, basic necessities. No, this world isn't the same world for all of us. But that doesn't mean it should stay that way. Being able to love who you love should be as simple as the colors in a rainbow. Being able to practice your religion should be as simple as doves flying. Being able to be who you are should be as simple as breathing. And until everyone from every corner of the earth is familiar with those facts, we have to keep fighting. Because we have a voice. And while it might seem like a right, it unfortunately is not. It unfortunately is not. It unfortunately is not. So use your voice to make a difference. Stand up, speak up, wake up. Because these simple and familiar acts can change the world. Thank you.
That was simply outstanding, Sanjita. This is our future, and for me, that's promising. As we move into celebrating our future further in this program, I would ask that you would turn your attention to the screen to observe the overview of the Morningside Award. Thank you so much.
On October 6, 2020, Greensboro City Council issued a historic apology to the Morningside Homes community for the complicity of Greensboro police in the 1979 Greensboro massacre. City Council also stated that 5 awards in the amount of $1,979 would be granted to graduating Dudley High School students in the names of the 5 people killed in the massacre: Caesar Causte, Dr. James Waller, William Evan Sampson, Sandra Neely Smith, and Dr. Michael Nathan.
Here with us to further elaborate on the importance of the award is Mayor Nancy Vaughn. Give her a hand.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to be here with you tonight to award these very impactful statements from young people in our community. I would like to recognize some people who are here specifically for this award and ask them to stand up. Community organizer for November 3rd, Joyce Johnson. Community organizer injured November 3rd, Frankie Denise Powell. Community organizer injured November 3rd, Reverend Nelson Johnson. Community supporter Ayo Samori Johnson. Community supporter Iodell Johnson. Community supporter Gary Kenton. Community supporter and photographer extraordinaire Louis Brandon III. Community supporter Terrence T.C. Muhammad. Community supporter and former mayor Carolyn Allen. Community supporter Reverend Steve Allen. Community supporter Reverend Wesley Morris. Community supporter Reverend William Wright. Community supporter State Senator Gladys Robinson. Community supporter and member of the Bill Simpson family, Christine Terhune. And community supporter, Bill Sampson family, David Sampson. And I would like to recognize my fellow council members who made these awards a reality, if they would stand. Mayor Pro Tem Yvonne Johnson, Sharon Hightower, Goldie Wells, and Tammy Thurm. Dr. Wells could not be here with us this evening because she's feeling a little under the weather, but she certainly sends her regards. I do want to say that we've had some sad passings in the last 2 years. The Marty Nathan, the widow of Dr. Michael Nathan, recently passed away. And Signe Waller Foxworth, who has been a staple in our community, who is the widow of Dr. James Waller, has also recently passed away. And I know that we think of their families and of them in our prayers. So we are here tonight to honor the memory of Caesar Chouse, Dr. James Waller, William Evans Sampson, Sandra Neely Smith, and Dr. Michael Nathan. So just a little background on this. This happened back in 1979. I was in high school in Connecticut, not really paying attention to local events or national events, and I moved to Greensboro, and I learned all about what happened on November 3rd, 1979. There were many times that community supporters, many that I mentioned, came before council and had asked for an apology. There were a number of apologies throughout the year, But back in early 2020, we met with Reverend Steve Allen, Reverend Nelson Johnson, and a few others who wanted a more substantive message. So they had given us an apology to go by. But I believe that an apology has to come from the heart and has to be your own words. So Tammy Thurm, Goldie Wells, Sharon Hightower, and I really dug in to what happened on November 3rd. We read the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. We read reports of the news that day. It was well documented because there were news crews on site. Some of the survivors had written books. We took a very deep dive into what happened on November 3rd, and we all had to come to peace with ourselves that we were offering an apology that actually came from the heart. So after many months, we took that original apology and we reworked it from the city's perspective. And in the end, we came down with the realization that on that particular day, there was a lack of police presence. I'm not saying that as a reflection on today's police department, but on that particular day, they took something that was called a low profile. And low profile actually turned into no profile. It wasn't until after the gunshots that police showed up. Again, that is no reflection on today's police department. But it is a fact that we came to in our minds after reading everything about 1979. So in October of 2020, we brought the resolution forward to council. And I believe it was a good and strong resolution, and you can read it on our website. It came from the heart, and it was well documented. And I hope, and I know that my council members hope, that this gave peace to the people who struggled with that event, the people who were there during that event, that somehow or another, especially for the widows who were gone, that they realized that we took a strong look at what happened on that day, and we believe that they were injured, that they were killed. It wasn't easy to do, but it was the right thing to do. The right thing to do isn't always easy. I would have to further apologize that it took us that long. But I want to thank my fellow council members for the hard work that they did, committing to look at the data, to watch those films, to read the testimony, and to come up with an apology that had teeth. But we wanted to do more than that. We wanted to find a way to recognize what happened. And so we developed 5 scholarships in the amount of $1,979. People may wonder, where did that number come? But it happened in 1979. So that is the significance of that amount. We chose Dudley High School because it is in the footprint of where Morningside Homes used to be. It is now Willow Oaks. And that is where the event occurred. We know that not everybody in that area now goes to Dudley, but we wanted to make sure, as it was said earlier, that we would never forget. And we thought that Dudley would help us be engaged. So we offered a challenge for somebody who is committed to social justice and not forgetting. How do we move on? So we asked for submissions. It didn't have to be an essay. It could have been the beautiful spoken word that we just heard. It could have been a photograph It could be a video. It could be a painting. It was whatever medium that that student wanted to utilize to get the message across, to never forget and remember social justice. So it is my pleasure and my honor that this evening we are going to recognize 5 outstanding people who submitted essays primarily on what occurred on November 3rd, 1979, to keep that in my mind so it will never occur again. So it is my pleasure, love.
Yes, awards. They're over there. Okay, and so if you'll stand right there, I will. And I'm going to invite Dr. Lisa Timmons-McLaughlin, the principal of Dudley High School.
These are the photographs of the 5 people who died on that day, and this is very significant. We saw their pictures. They were live in the flesh people, and so I invite you to come and look at these photographs before you leave.
Absolutely. And so again, I want to invite Dr. Lisa Timmons-McLaughlin. Please give her a round of applause. She was very instrumental. She is going to shake hands with the recipients, but we also want to give her an opportunity to say a few words on behalf of Dudley High School.
Thank you. Good evening. As the proud principal of James Benson Dudley High School, I'd like to say thank you. I would also like to just take a personal privilege to recognize staff and our fabulous school board member, Miss Betty Jenkins, who helped support our students and make the magic happen. I have another staff person, our wonderful social studies teacher, Miss Roseboro, who's in the room. I'm just pleased that we were able to have students to be recognized. In 2022, we can't forget. And to get this opportunity, I'm so pleased with our students that were able to express the social justice through essay or song or poem or video, and it just made them think about this. And some of the students came right out of Miss Roseboro's classroom, so we appreciate her. I appreciate everyone in this room and the work that you all do, because it helps our students not only not forget, but to recognize and reflect that they must keep the dream going. They must make sure that everybody understands that this didn't come easy. And that's the reason we have to get out and vote. That's the reason that we have to explain and understand that we have rights. We have rights in whatever it is that you think that you are, as a woman, as an individual, as a man, as a minority, as for whatever it is your sexuality is, we have rights. And so having scholarship opportunities and events that are like this is a wonderful event, by the way, and to be able to let our people come out, it means something. It matters. So as principal, I just say thank you, and I look forward to being able to recognize our students that are here, and thank you for letting this happen at the great James Benson Dudley High School. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to recognize the 5 recipients of the Morningside Award. I'm going to ask that when your name is called, that you come around this side, your left, my right, and that just like the other recipients of other awards, that you will remain here, and then you'll have the opportunity to give brief remarks. First, we have Delaney Jarman, who was not able to be with us because, for a wonderful reason, Delaney is the recipient of multiple scholarships this evening. And so with that in mind, her father is here to receive the award on her behalf. Delaney Jarman plans to attend North Carolina Central University in the fall to pursue a career as a real estate attorney. She believes that the lack of access to adequate and affordable housing is one of the greatest challenges to social justice and equality, and will do her part to address these challenges for others. Her father, David Jarman, is accepting the award on behalf of Delaney, as she is currently receiving another scholarship award on this evening. Let's give Delaney a hand once again. And now we'll have remarks by way of video.
Hello everyone, my name is Delaney Jarman, and I'm thankful to the Greensboro Human Rights Committee for this award. My future goal is to attend North Carolina Central in the fall, where I'll be majoring in business, and my ultimate goal is to become a real estate attorney to help people, especially minorities, find and close on adequate housing in real estate. I want to make a difference for others by educating people on how to successfully purchase property, which includes establishing good credit and finding the right fit for them. I also want to help them be able to maintain their property for the long term. During my graceful years, I have had a lot of volunteer opportunities, and it's my passion to give back to others, and I plan to continue this in the future. I would again like to thank the Greensboro Human Rights Committee for this historic award and honor.
Could you be more proud as a parent?
Oh man, I'm barely proud of that.
We're thankful for all of the parents who are here and for their pride in their young people. You could see them beaming when they came through the door. Next we have Mason Smith. Mason Smith plans to attend UNC Chapel Hill to achieve the goal of becoming one of the only 2% of Black or African American cardiothoracic surgeons. Mason commits to affecting change in the medical community, speaking out against injustice, and improving medical treatments for Black people. Congratulations, Mason. And once we make it through the list, we're going to ask all of them if they would like to share a couple of words. Next, we have Milan Fox. Milan Fox plans to attend North Carolina A&T in the fall to pursue a career as a veterinarian. She believes that the lack of diversity within STEM fields is a barrier to productivity, innovation, and more importantly, social justice and equality. She is committed to pioneering change and paving the way for others to do the same. In her absence, let's still congratulate Milan Fox. Next, we have Samuel Francis. Samuel Francis Jr. Samuel Francis Jr. to attend Wake Forest University to study law. Inspired by his grandmother, a social worker who spent her life in sacrifice for others, he wants to provide legal services for disadvantaged communities. Samuel believes that disenfranchisement, homelessness, mental illness, and voter suppression are some of the major challenges to social justice today, and commits to doing his part to address them. Again, congratulations, Samuel. And of course, last but not least, we have Kiesha Monroe. Kiesha Monroe plans to attend UNC Charlotte with dreams of becoming a general surgeon. She believes that systemic racism, such as redlining, is a major barrier to social justice for Black people and minorities. Her goal is to open her own health clinic, and she is committed to ensuring that minorities have equal access to quality health care. Again, congratulations, Kiesha. At this time, in the order in which the awards were presented, we're going to ask for brief remarks, 1 to 2 minutes from each of the recipients. And we thank you so much for holding your applause to the end so that everyone can definitely have an opportunity to fully share. Come on, Dad.
All right, good evening, everyone. My daughter already spoke, so on her behalf, we want to say thank you. If we had to thank you in French, we say merci beaucoup. If we had to thank you in Spanish, we say gracias. If we had to thank you in German, we say danke schön. So if we had to thank you on behalf of my great-great-great-granddaddy, who had just a 3rd grade education, we say, I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
A lot going on, y'all. Okay, we're just gonna work it like this since I done pulled it off the stand. But good evening, family, friends, distinguished guests in the city of Greensboro. My name is Mason Smith, and I'm beyond humbled to be receiving one of the Morningside Awards tonight. In my essay, I talked about many things, but the main premise was about not being afraid to speak your mind, even if you're speaking by yourself. I talked about how, growing up, I was taught to be very careful about the decisions that I made and things that I say on social platforms, for it will never go away. And that still rings true, but we live in a society today where there's too much divisiveness and not enough collaboration. In my writing, I said there's a major social discrepancy between Black and white people, and primarily it's because oftentimes we choose not to converse with each other about certain topics in order to keep the peace. And other times it's because we're scared of the opinion the other might give. Black people are afraid that when we compliment such things like Black Lives Matter or defund the police, we can ultimately disrupt certain professional relationships when working under the white man. White people are scared that they'll be labeled a racist or videotaped and lose their job. I, myself, learned to not care or garner a belief system that was not only influenced by how I was raised, but also by doing my own reading and research. So on these social and informational platforms, I definitely now respond to certain comments I don't agree with, or I check certain behavior that I see, because I've learned that the longer that we let these actions go unchecked, the more offenders will feel that their actions are valid and acceptable. This fall, I'll be attending the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, majoring in biology pre-med in preparation to become a cardiothoracic surgeon. Although I'll be going from a senior to a freshman again, I will not let my environment or proximity to differential people deter me from continuing to push back against negativity or divisiveness, but to continue to educate those who are ignorant and establish and promote an environment of peace and understanding in any way that I can. Thank you all for the opportunity, and I will continue to make each and every one of you proud. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Francis again. I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you. This is truly an honor to receive this outstanding and prestigious award. I recognize the sacrifices and tragedies that this award represents. As a country, we have come a long way, but given light to recent proceedings and headlines, we still have a ways to go. I want to be a part of that great change. I pledge to be determined, honorable, and successful, the great motto of James B. Dudley High School. In the fall, I will be attending Wake Forest to study law and just help disenfranchised communities and help the mentally ill. Well, that's mine, and thank you all again.
Hi everyone, my name is Keisha. It's nice to see you guys again. Since I was younger, I've always had a passion for helping people. Coming to high school and choosing the health science track provided me with multiple opportunities within the field, from volunteering at Atrium Wake Forest to officially becoming a certified nursing assistant and much more. It is my goal to only build from here. While attending UNC Charlotte in the fall, I'll be majoring in health management administration, and from there I'll attend medical school with the goal of being a general surgeon. I stand here before you as the result of how minority leadership in medicine can be a game changer. While participating at the volunteering program at Wake Forest Baptist Hospital, I was inspired to want to do more for my community. I see the problem, and I am the solution. By making groundbreaking approaches to modern medicine, I will successfully represent my minority community. So many rules that are locked within our society make it hard for African Americans to receive good health care benefits. I plan to open a clinic that provides minority with accessible and quality health care. This award will allow me to make that dream become a reality. In conclusion, I would like to thank the City of Greensboro, Ms. Timmix McLaughlin, Ms. Pamela Reynolds, my friends in academia, and especially Ms. Ace and Ms. Yance. Without any of you, this would not be possible. But most importantly, I would like to thank my mom, because without my mom and her constant guidance and motivation, I would not stand here before you. So, thank you, Mom, for being my greatest supporter. I love you. Thank you.
Sometimes you get in trouble when you start calling names, but there are so many people that support our school and our students. I would like to ask all of the parents to stand up. Yes. I've recognized our teacher and our school board member, but we have so many supporters in the room, including our city council member. Would you please stand up, Sandra? I'm sorry. Stand up. Thank you. And we also have one Panther. I want to ask all of the people who have graced the halls of James Benson Dudley to please stand or raise your hand. All right. And we have those members, so Crystal Black, we appreciate all that you do for being on the council and just making sure that we've been in the room. Okay? Thank you.
Let's give the recipients one more round of applause. We're going to ask that in the name of one more photo op that you have the opportunity to head over to the green wall so that you can display your earnings, because you did earn it. And we definitely want to make sure that we get a chance to get a group photo, okay? Wonderful. So you all can feel free to head that way. Thank you so much. As we come to the closing of this event, I want to take the time to simply say thank you to all of you as participants in tonight's event. This has been long envisioned. We actually had the initial vision for this kind of event back in 2016. And of course, the pandemic derailed almost everything. but we have been able to come together and have such a momentous occasion. And so I just want you to walk away understanding that your support, your participation is the difference maker. Moving forward, tell someone about this event. Brand our city as a place that actually celebrates human rights, not just talks about it. And again, you heard from others the importance of volunteering to participate on different boards and commissions. Please don't forget to count yourselves in the number of doing your part. I want to say a very special thank you to the human rights staff. Again, we are small but mighty. And I want to thank Jody as our outreach and education coordinator, who is working as we speak. Jody had the whole event planned, and then I said, ooh, Jody, what if we have a balloon wall? Jody, what if we display all the pictures on an easel? Jody, what if? And she never ever looked at me like she wanted to kill me, even though I know that I made her blood boil. But I'm grateful for Jody being an absolute executor when it comes to the work of this department. I also want to say thank you to both Sarah, who is our roster, who actually started as an intern and came back to work with us doing landlord-tenant dispute work. But as you can see in this department, it's all hands on deck for everything. So thank you, Sarah. Give her a hand. And I also want to thank Elizabeth Thomas, who is our new public accommodations investigator. But again, for us, it's all hands on deck. And so she never batted an eyelash when we said that we needed hands for tonight. So Elizabeth, raise your hand and please give her a round of applause as well. I can't say it enough. You can't brand a city with human rights if you don't have decision makers who believe in human rights. It's really only a stamp or a Band-Aid at best. So I'm very thankful to this city council that every time something comes across their desk to really grapple with about people being marginalized in this city, they don't sweep it under the rug, they unpack it fully. So again, to the city council, I want to say thank you. Please give them another round of applause. And then we have a new city manager who didn't come in feeling so busy that human rights was one of those things that he would, quote unquote, get to eventually. Our new city manager has been committed to sitting at the table, understanding the work of human rights, understanding the work of our department, understanding our partners. And so to our city manager, as well as the whole team out of the city manager's office, we want to say thank you for your continued support. Give him a hand, please. I want to thank everyone who came together to make this program what it is, from the management at Revolution Mill to the creators of our artistic display by way of this amazing wall that's getting all the photo attention and has been the whole night. Thank you to the Pope duo who came to the table ready to sing us into this occasion. And so again, as you depart, be safe, but also be conscious. Be aware. Thank you so much and have a great evening.